Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Fit Chicks Unfiltered. I'm your host, Callie.
And I'm Ashley, and we're the
S-
Fit Chicks Unfiltered.
We are. And how are you
Yeah.
doing, girl?
I am doing good. I'm kicking Monday's ass. Yay. It
Yes.
was an insanely busy week. I did not get to the gym like I wanted to, but instead of kicking my own ass and being negative, I'm like, we just start again. We're busy doing positive things. And today's Monday. We just start
Yeah.
again. That's
You always
all,
gotta slow it. You always gotta slay a Monday. It sets the course for a week.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Today I went to the gym as well, and I feel like I slayed, but it was also like an ego check for me because I've got some more round
Mm.
ligament pain that's happening. So like it was really bad and still sore this morning. And with being pregnant in your
Mhm.
abdomen, for me, I'm just trying not to then aggravate a piece of my abdomen that's already aggravated. So with it being a
Mhm.
leg day, I really had to take a step back and do stuff that didn't also engage my core, which was kind of tricky. But it was still good. We showed up,
Yeah.
we got it done. We're feeling nice.
Mhm. Good. I love that. What I did do, so what we're talking about today, The Biggest Loser doc, you and I, it's so funny because to those of you who are listening, I have been waiting for this Biggest Loser doc to come out since Netflix was like, remind me. And the day it came out, you messaged me, and I hadn't even mentioned this to you. And you were like, so how about this Biggest Loser doc? I'm like, girl, I already saw it. So that's why we're talking about this today. How fascinating, huh?
Yeah, it's really fascinating. It's honestly, it left me so confused in terms of how many different emotions I felt throughout the whole entire
Yeah.
documentary. I had every emotion probably possible. Um,
Yeah.
and I think too, like, it just goes to show how we are evolving, especially in the fitness space,
Yeah.
today compared to when that show was coming out.
Right.
Um, but
So let me ask, did you watch The Biggest Loser when it was airing?
I wasn't obsessed with it, but I would watch it from time to time.
Yeah. I definitely watched it. I watched
Hmm.
like every fucking episode of that show. And to I did not realize how problematic it was at the
At the
time.
time. Yeah.
That was kind of a mind fuck for sure.
Yeah.
And watching, so if you guys, okay, let's rewind a little bit. So, friends, there is a Biggest Loser documentary. If you guys are Netflix people, you've noticed that Netflix has been doing these kind of deep dives on different pieces of pop culture lately, which I've really been loving, to be honest. And they covered The Biggest Loser, and The Biggest Loser was a show that aired in the early to mid 2000s. They went about 17 seasons. Jillian Michaels, Bob Harper, famous fitness trainers, personal trainers,
Hmm.
brought a bunch of big ass people to a ranch to help them lose weight. That is essentially the goal of The Biggest Loser. And they had different games and obstacles. And the goal of The Biggest Loser was to be the person that lost the most amount of weight. And the prize at the end was $250,000. So, like, The Biggest Loser is this compilation of like game show being interesting for reality TV and helping people lose weight.
Hmm.
And in my personal opinion, I think that's ultimately why they got canceled because I'm not sure there's a healthy way to do all three of those things. Speaking just as a person and as somebody who's in the reality TV space,
Yeah, you tick a lot of those boxes.
you know, guys, okay, this is Fit Chicks Unfiltered. I'm gonna say a lot of shit with my whole chest. I really don't care.
I think we should. I think that's the point, right? Like it might
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
weird, but
I,
I think we should rip the band-aid off
well, not
completely.
even weird. It's more just like, I still am in reality TV and, NDAs and shit like that. I'm not going to spill any crazy ass secrets, but I am going to be honest. In my personal opinion, I think the reality TV universe is toxic as fuck. Will I still stay on it? Yeah, I will. Why? Because who the fuck is going to do it? Like everybody, like, who is going to go on there and be as authentic as possible? You don't really see that. And like, I would like to believe that I'm as authentic as I possibly can be without, telling my husband's business because that's his business to tell. I just think it's really toxic.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that documentary just furthered my feelings about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's like at all cost and it's got to
Get
make
the
for
TV
good
show.
TV. You get the
It's
TV
gotta,
show.
yeah, you have to get the TV show, you have to get the edit, whatever we need to do to get good TV, even at the price of these people's health. Like, even when they were like talking about, I think this was in the first episode, this is 3 episodes, making them for their competitions, like have food in their mouth and like run with food in their mouth. I didn't even realize at the time how crazy that was. Like
It's
in the
so messed
documentary,
up.
even
I was
it's
so
messed
I was
up.
appalled. I was like,
It's
"What
messed
eating
up.
disorder have you just created in 0.5 seconds?" Like,
Yeah.
what seriously? Like I understand the moral. So in some of it like I get the moral of the story, but the
Yeah.
extremity of it was insane. Like yeah, I understand when they come out of The Biggest Loser, there's going to be temptation everywhere. And if you aren't okay with temptation, like you won't last. But to that degree, like what?
That podcaster, she had me dying. She was like, what did she say? I've been a fat girl all my life. And there's no temptations that look like that in the real world. Do you remember when she
No. Yeah, like that no, that's an extreme like and if you guys haven't watched it yet, there is a like one of the challenges like Ashley was talking about how they have different challenges where they're having to like move food with their mouth but they can't eat it. That's like
or they'll like have to, they'll be able to like eat. They have 1 minute or something like that to eat as much as they can, and the person who eats the most can get a letter from home.
yes.
Yeah, crazy shit.
Which is like, okay, what I was thinking is like, okay, is what they're trying to do is to make them not eat and realize like, if I don't eat this, it's better for my health long term, which means I'm going to be with my
Mm-hmm.
family longer than I would if I were to shove this down for short term,
Mm-hmm.
temporary like pleasure. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is so loaded and so fucked up and all at the same
It's
time. Like,
crazy. It's
it,
crazy.
yes, totally mentally just preying on these people, in my opinion. And
Mm-hmm.
another thing, like, okay, they set themselves up with a medical doctor. They set
Dr.
themselves up,
H.
yes, they set, which
I think he worked on the Menendez brothers case. I've seen him around.
he looked
Dr.
familiar to me too.
I think he's been around in like Hollywood area for a minute. I'm almost positive he somewhere was dealing with the Menendez brothers. So I
Ah,
was also obsessed with that for a while.
yeah, yeah, that's a crazy story in itself.
I think they're
Um,
about to get out of jail. I hope so. Those poor kids. Well, they're not
that
kids anymore, but they were.
talk about your whole life. Okay, hold on,
Girl, I
distractions.
know, right? Just
I
ooh,
could go down this.
bumblebee.
Yeah.
I know. I know. It's
But
crazy.
so they brought on like a medical doctor. They have like apparently the trainers that are there, but they didn't have like a therapist that was there. And I feel like Dr. H was really trying to do both, like be a therapist and also
Hmm.
give his warnings that he could give. But like to me, what and I can't speak from experience, but I feel like I can speak from experience in the fact that I carry shame. Everyone carries shame, and it allows those things to manifest in ways that they might not be proud of. And then you have to course correct that, to
Hmm.
actually allow yourself to go to this next stage or level, whatever it may be. But what I saw is they immediately found people's shame and then they doubled down on the shame. They
Hmm.
didn't say like, let's go through a discovery and let's talk about it and how did you get to this place and why do you not feel good enough? Like why are you doing this?
Well, even to be weighed on TV with your shirt off, like, look
Yeah.
at your shame, shame,
Yes.
shame, like from that fucking show. Like, it's ridiculous and it's so intense. And like you said, nobody's really getting to the root of the why. You don't become 482 pounds for no reason. I was just saying this inside of my community. I didn't get to 320 pounds for no reason. Like we can pretend all we want. One of my friends, I'll let her I will let her remain nameless. But we had a
That's a hard one.
conversation about 3 days ago, right? And she was like, we were talking about trauma. Somehow we got on trauma. She's like, I don't have any trauma. I'm like, yeah, you do.
That's nice.
She goes, no, I don't. It's not true. Everybody has some sort of trauma. Now, like, it doesn't mean that your trauma has to be like your dad beat the shit out of you every day. It doesn't have to be
Or
that
like a war
deep.
veteran's PTSD. Like it's not always that
Yeah.
complex.
But nobody's like, if you were to say that you don't have trauma, that is to say that your life is absolutely perfect. And then that idea of perfection just doesn't exist. Kind of forgot where I was going with this, but the idea of trauma and yeah, trauma and weight. And that's where I was going. And most people get to those crazy amounts of weight, especially when you're hitting the 3, 4, 500s, like, the big numbers. There's something there. And they weren't doing any of that. They were just like whatever to do at all costs. I
Yeah, and
hate
they
I hate to jump around. Go ahead, go ahead.
no, you're good. That totally played on what I was saying. It's like the shame, it crushed my heart, and that made me feel so sad for these people that I almost felt like they preyed on these people's vulnerabilities, and
They
instead of
did.
like
They exploited
making,
them.
yeah, and instead of being like, hey, like let's work through this, let's figure out a healthy route and let's heal. They were like, I'm gonna prey on you now because I know what your weakness is, and I'm gonna make you feel less than and not good enough, which is like, uh, it
It
just
makes
like
great
takes the
TV.
wind out of my sails. Yeah, but it makes
It
very
makes
good
great
TV
TV.
because someone's yelling, someone's upset. But in the same breath, maybe I'm just boring. But I feel like I would love to watch someone do it the right way.
I don't think you're boring. I think our world is like toxic. I
Yeah.
think that reality TV is a mirror for the bigger macrocosm. Like, if we're really getting a little deep here. I love reality TV. I'm not shitting on reality TV, friends. My internet name when you come to my house is Bravo Babe, right? I'm not shitting on reality TV. We all like it. But the one thing I'm just realizing is it really is this reflection for what's happening in the macrocosm. And so is social media. Why is it that something negative on social media will get 10,000 more hits than something positive? Why is it that if I were to go on social media right now and say I'm divorcing my husband, I would get 10,000 more followers than to say if I were to go on and say I love my husband? People like mess. They like chaos and disorder. They like dysfunctionality. And that's
Yeah.
what reality TV gives them. Look at Jersey
Yeah.
Shore. Like,
And they
and they've been
even
on
some
TV for 15 years.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's what they even say
I
too. Like, if you screw up a post and there's like something that's spelt wrong, don't worry about it because the haters are gonna creep out and they're gonna
The
comment,
haters
which
will
is
come
gonna
out.
be good for the algorithm. It's
They'll
like,
come out.
okay.
But they'll never be like, that was a good post. Thank you for that. And I'm hoping that over time we can begin to recognize that like there's a lot of projection there.
Hmm.
I personally think that a lot of people, the reason why we're that this way is because it makes people feel better about themselves. Like, oh, well, I might need to lose some weight, but at least I'm not that big. Or like, okay, I'm that big, but at least I got a job and a partner who loves me. Like, I think people look at other people's situations in reality TV and can either A, identify with them, or B, be like, well, at least I'm not that fucked up. And
Yeah,
I don't really know if that's good or bad. I think it's truth,
I think it's
which
truth.
isn't good or
I think
bad.
it's truth, but I think
Yeah.
in my mind, I hate that. Like I view it
I
as bad
yeah.
for me because like there's also people who will come out there and they like are so quick to talk shit about other people
Mm-hmm.
because it
Mm-hmm.
makes them feel a little bit better about what they're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just a skewed, warped sense of competition that
It
people
is.
constantly search for validation, which if they just like actually carved out the time to find the validation for themselves, they would actually be rooting for a lot of the people around them, you know?
Exactly. I fully agree with you.
And
So like, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, one of my friends I was talking to today, she mentioned like, because she's been pregnant before too, she was like, isn't it crazy how when you're in your second and third trimester and people actually know you're pregnant, like they just treat you? They just treat you like
Mm,
amazing. And she was like,
mm.
if everyone in the world just treated each other like people treat pregnant women, the world would be such a better place. And I was like, that is so true.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. People do hold up the red carpet for pregnant women. You guys are like golden.
Yeah, and it's like
Mm.
I mean, cool, I'll take it. I'm not turning it down. I
You
like
need to
it.
take it. You
But
are with child.
yeah, but I just wish everyone kind of had that mindset of like
Yeah.
instead of finding the area to like make squash someone down to make you feel big, like I wish you just took spent the time to make yourself feel big and make other people feel big too, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I do. I know exactly what you mean. That leads me to two things. So I want to talk about the 6,000 calorie thing, but also to, yeah, the 6,000 calorie thing, but to continue on with your note,
No
the
therapist.
sisters. Well, the
Oh,
sisters,
Joelle.
yeah, that were on. No, 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 no. Those were the friends.
Oh, those are friends.
So yeah, so the sisters that were on, one of the girls was always kind of heavier set. The other girl got heavier set later on in life.
Yeah, after her
And she
accident.
had told, yeah, and she had told her sister, why didn't you tell me that they treat fat people so differently? And, you know, it's true. And I
Yeah.
think people don't, I loved, one thing I loved about the documentary is the conversation on how everybody wants to feel seen and deserves to feel seen. And what's so interesting about people that are overweight and obese, it's this like, you feel so seen because you're so big, right? So you're always trying to take up as little space as possible. And I speak this from experience, right? Like, what am I happy is like, am I taking up too much space? Like, do they have space next to me? Like, quite literally, you feel like
Yeah.
you're taking up too much space. Um, and then at the same time, you don't feel seen because you're the big girl in the room. You know, so you already know if you're next to somebody who's smaller, who's thinner, they're getting all the attention. You're not getting any attention from, the people that you prefer to have sex with, male, female, in between, doesn't fucking matter, you know? And so there is this idea of like, not being seen and being too seen. I love that I wish the documentary would have explored more of it. I found myself wanting more. I wish it was a 5-part
Same. I wish
documentary.
it was 5 part too. And
Yeah.
like you're
Hmm.
saying, like it breaks my heart to hear that. It really breaks my heart to hear that. It crushed it for
Yeah.
me, and I hate that. And I also think
Yeah.
like what you're saying, like feeling so seen, but probably also so seen but misunderstood. Like seen as
Yeah.
that person wants to see you and not who you
Hmm.
truly are,
Well, I
which
mean,
is
the idea that fat people are lazy, like when the podcaster, I forget her name, but if you guys are curious, I remember the name of the podcast because it's called The Maintenance Phase, which I thought was a very clever name for the podcast.
yes.
It's very clever, right? Maintenance Phase.
Yeah.
She was talking about the competitions that they were doing, and the idea behind the competition was that fat people can't be trusted around food. And I hate to make all these comparisons, but I want you guys listening to understand how reality TV works. When you look at a show like 90 Day Fiance, Come From My Neck If You Want To, network, when you look at a show like that, there has to be a villain. The main premise of that show is the foreigner really in love with the American? And are they going to actually get married? Nothing else matters. That is the arc for every single couple, no matter what. If you
Good
look
cop,
back
bad
in
cop.
yes. And so when the podcaster was talking about the underlying message of them doing these food competitions, reality TV is all the same. It just has a different mask on it. It just has a different, and
The
people, I would hope
equation's the same no matter
the
what.
equation is the same. And their goal is to make great TV. That is production's goal to make great TV. That is network's goal to make great TV. And either you play ball or you don't play ball. And so which leads into that 6,000 calorie thing. We'll put a trigger warning on this podcast because we're mentioning eating disorders and EDs, and I think we're
Smart. We
probably
should.
yeah, put a trigger warning on this podcast just so you guys know that we are going to be talking about it. But full transparency, when I heard them say in the documentary, one of the girls say that they had to burn 6,000 calories no matter what. Immediately in my head, I was like, okay, so how do I do that? And then I stopped. I'm full transparency. I stopped and I was like, Ashley, what the fuck? You don't need to do all that. But the point here is if I thought that as somebody who's educated in this fucking realm,
Who
who the
else?
fuck else? Exactly.
Who else? And also, like, they treated it like one size
Exactly.
fits all, and it was like the
Mm-hmm.
one size they used was the worst
Mm-hmm.
angle you could possibly do it. I mean, did
100%.
to be only able to eat 800 calories a day, and then some were eating way less because they wanted to win, and then have to burn 6,000
I
calories
think
a day.
that
Like,
was
how
Ryan
would you?
saying,
Mhm.
Ryan, I think, was saying that he didn't put any solid food in his system for 10 days out leading up into the finale just to
Like
cut weight.
that's like permanently damaging to your metabolism.
Mhm.
Like
That's an eating disorder.
yeah, oh, totally,
That's an
full
eating
fledged.
disorder.
But also
Yeah.
like even at the grounds, and I liked once again, even though, it's on the low end in my opinion, but still like within safe. low. Like Dr. H was saying, like for females, they should not go below 1200. For males, they should
I
not go
saw
below
that. I thought that was
1500.
low too.
And then for the, yeah, I mean, that's like in, unless you're
But
competing
Dr.
and it's peak week,
Now,
but like that's like as low
yeah,
as you should really try to go. But
Dr.
but
Now
to,
says the same thing on my 600-pound life.
yeah,
Dr. Now puts them on 1200 calorie diets. I'm wondering what the science is behind that because the way that I think about it, you're putting these people that are morbidly obese on a 1200 calorie diet. They clearly have an issue with food. So wouldn't you want them to stick to the diet? Like, why such a hard cut? Because Dr. Now does the same thing with anybody that comes in and they're all morbidly obese, obviously. They're on
would
1200 calorie diets.
it could be that once again, like they're misunderstood. Like they just automatically
Yeah,
think unless you give them nothing, they're gonna. And if you try to spend the time
yeah,
educating them on macros or like
right.
properly like lowering and going into a deficit, like it's not gonna work because they just
Unless
won't
they're
do
just
it.
trying to get a lot of weight off quick. Well, that's exactly my
But why?
POV.
Because that's not sustainable, in my opinion. That's what makes me mad.
Yeah,
Is
it's
like
not
Dr. H said
sustainable.
1200 calories, and then the trainers who
Well,
should
I
know this,
know.
then tell them to go to 800.
And that's the thing. Well, remember, Jillian told Ryan when he won, she whispered in her ear, "You just made me a millionaire." You remember that part?
Yeah,
And
so
she
at all costs, right there, like even
at
at
all
the
costs.
sacrifice of that person's health, and also maybe if you heard this, correct me, but at no point in the 800 calorie statement did I hear anyone talk about protein to fat to carb ratio.
Maybe they did off camera. Maybe that was the boring piece that TV wanted to cut. And
Maybe that
you
would get people
know,
healthy if they knew.
if they knew about it, that's the thing. It sounds like Dr. H was out there trying to do God's work, just helping these people live. Let's
Best
talk
he
about
could.
Tracy. Tracy, let's talk about her
Oh,
for a little bit. I remember her season very well because she was incredibly controversial. I remember her fainting. I remember
yeah.
her having a hard time, and I remember her being the villain. I remember all of that clear as day. So when she showed up in the documentary, I was like, oh, not Tracy. I immediately got a bad taste in my mouth for her because of her edit on TV. And then it broke my heart to hear why she had to do all that.
Yeah.
She was trying to stay. She was fighting for her motherfucking life. And the only way she could do it was by being an asshole on TV so that they would keep her.
Yeah.
Hint, hint, wink, wink, dear listener. When you guys are watching these reality TV shows, some of these people are made out to be villains because that's what sells.
Yeah.
That's what sells. So
Yeah.
before you go bringing out hate and being trolls and stuff, just consider that's what sells.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like you said, you keep saying the word the edit.
Mhm. And everybody hates when the reality TV person talks shit on the edit. People
Hmm.
do hate it. And one of my producers told me this a long time ago. He said, listen, we can't edit anything that you didn't actually do. So he was essentially just like, did you do it? Like, that's the thing. First of all, that was a lie because they can and they did. You
Yeah.
know, on Happily Ever After, season 8 that I was on, um, it was a scene where Manuel and I were in church. We were in Catholic church, and the camera pins behind my head, and they have me saying something like the Catholic guy, not the Pope. You can tell I was not raised Catholic.
The
Uh, uh,
priest?
he's a step below the priest. I don't know. Either way, he was asking what I did for a living. And I was like, oh, I'm a witch. That never fucking happened. Producers wanted me to go in there telling him I was a witch. And I'm like, I'm not going into somebody's house saying something that I know is going to be offensive and misunderstood to him. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that. Like, I grew up a Jehovah's Witness. I am very respectful of Western religion. Just because I don't believe in it doesn't mean I'm not respectful of it. I'm in
Right.
his house talking about brujeria and shit. No, thank you. They ad-libbed that. I never once uttered the word witch in that church. And they made
Ooh. They probably pulled witch from another somewhere.
they did because they would always have us do ad libs and stuff. I'm giving you guys all the tea, but they would have us do ad libs in the cut. So when you go to do your interviews, they call it wild lines. So they'll be like, "We have a bunch of wild lines. We just need you to say." So it's nothing on face camera, and they just give you wild lines, random shit that the editors need, and then they put
Wow.
those lines anywhere they want. You
Oh
don't
my
know where they're
gosh.
going.
But if you
Like
did it chronologically, it can go where it needs to go.
it goes wherever they want it to go. That's why they're called, we have no clue where they go. Yeah. They tell us how to say it, the inflection in our voice, if we're supposed to sound excited or angry.
Dang. Yeah, so Tracy then.
Tracy said, they said, Tracy, if she wasn't losing the weight, I remember that specifically because she couldn't work out like that. And Dr. H
Yeah,
kept telling her, do
you're
not fuck
not
with
clear.
Jillian. Yeah. And she had to keep her, which also inadvertently says that the show may have been rigged a little bit. Because why, if she wasn't losing the weight and the goal is to be the biggest loser,
Why is she still on
and
there?
exactly.
Yeah, that doesn't make
And
sense.
it doesn't make sense.
That
Production
doesn't
had a
make
hand in
sense at
that.
all.
Producer magic. But anyways, so okay, so Tracy, I think too, one thing that I loved about her story is like she recognized that this was like kind of like her last shot. She had a horrible relationship with her husband, remember that? And she
Yeah,
knew what she was coming home to. And, you know, what do you think
which is
about
really sad.
this? It is sad. So I find it interesting in like the weight loss community, right? There's this big thing that when you lose a bunch of weight, you leave your partner. That's like the going thing. Have you heard of that? What are your thoughts on that? Because that's what happened with Tracy. Her
I've
and
heard
like,
of
yeah,
that, I guess, in a more abstract form that like when people decide to level up, the people who are no longer intended for them tend to whittle off
yeah,
as well
yeah.
because you start choosing good things for yourself and sometimes that reveals things that are
Mm-hmm.
no longer serving you. I think that is not always the case. It depends how supportive your partner is, but I think that sometimes when someone changes so drastically, it probably brings out so many emotions in the other person in the relationship to where they're like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe they're going to leave me. Maybe they're leveling up in this whole degree. Like, who am I now? And then that creates
Mm-hmm.
sometimes toxicity to where instead of
Mm-hmm.
someone recognizing in the moment, I'm behaving this way because of how it's making me feel and an scar inside of me that I haven't healed potentially, to just like the person who's doing all the things is like annoying them and the enemy.
Yeah.
And I think that probably happens more than not, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I definitely would agree. I do think that is one of the beautiful things about losing weight, though. And not even to get too deep or heady, but to kind of go back to the idea of people treating you differently when you're heavier. You know, it also, too, I think, is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. Because to speak to your point, you know, as you start dropping weight, you start to realize what is for you and like who is for you. And I think there's a reason why self-confidence goes up. There's a reason why you start to not deal with the stuff that you dealt with before,
Yeah.
you know, and
I feel
I
like
don't
you're
know, it
trimming the
makes
fat more metaphorically as well.
exactly. And it's like, it's not to say that we're pointing to this narrative that thin is in, because that's where it feels like it's pointing. I think it's deeper than that.
I
I
think health
think,
is in. I think
yeah.
respecting yourself is in and learning what
Thank
serves you is
you.
in.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're not trying, I know you're not trying to look like skin and bone. You're
Hell
trying to
no.
compete in wellness.
No, I'm trying to be strong as fuck.
Yeah, but
Ham hock, boy. Ham
you've like
hocks.
you've shed
Yeah.
you've shed so many pounds. How many pounds have you shed?
Girl, somebody just asked me that in yoga this morning. I have lost count. I'm somewhere around 130. I have to, I'm weighing in for
Almost
Sing for
150
World of my
pounds.
fupa. Dude, it's girl, it's crazy. It would like by January, it will be at 150, if not even more than that. I did not even know that we were gonna do all this. I did not know it's gonna make all this noise. I did not know
Yeah.
any of this was gonna happen, but I know that I'm going to win when I step on stage. And in order
Yeah.
to win, when I step on stage, we need to be ready. So bitch needs to stop making excuses. And I say that because this past week was crazy. Um, it's really like it was just crazy. It's just so busy. And I just felt like here's one thing I'm realizing, not to tangent too much, but I'm sure that people can listen, that can relate to this. And I'm sure, especially when you were in prep, you felt this, you know, how do you juggle it all, right? You know, when I was on the tell-all, remember I was all on my dick about being at the gym 3 hours a day, right? I am starting to realize that we might need to be up at 5 a.m. Like if
Yeah.
I, yeah, like
Girl, I had to
it's starting
learn
to
this.
click. It's starting to click that like in order to get everything done, to run my own business, to take care of my clients, to do my client work, because my clients have uptick, which is fantastic. But to do all the things, to be working as a fitness instructor in person
The
and to
content,
be the content
the
and
clientele.
yeah, and to get my workout in and to not feel rushed. I might have to be a 5 a.m.er and I just got comfortable with 6.
I
Like
know.
I
I
just
Girl, it was the same thing in like a long time ago. Okay, here's a funny story. A long time ago, my husband was like,
yeah.
because like I've mentioned before, he is super supportive and sometimes he pushes
Mm-hmm.
me in times when I'm like, hey, I'm not ready to be pushed yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But he
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
if you're wanting to do all these things, I'm telling you, Callie, if you just get up earlier, like,
Yeah.
and go and knock it out, you'll have the rest of your day. And
More
I'm like,
time.
I have the
Right?
time, and now
Right.
that more things are stacking on, and it's not just like simple 9 to 5, figure out when to plug the
Yeah.
gym.
That's not a simple 9 to 5.
No, it's not.
Exactly.
So it's like now I'm realizing the same thing, and the earlier I go, I'm like, damn, that actually feels
Hmm.
good. I fought that for way too long. He
It,
was
it
right.
works.
Yeah.
It works. It does. I've been so efficient getting up at the 6 a.m., just even more efficient. But now it's feeling like, I see why Julia gets up at 4:30 in the morning. Julia Renee,
Yeah.
she was a coach to both of us. She's big in the bodybuilding sphere. Um, I see why she does 4:30. And I remember like when she was talking about like, what the fuck do you need to do
I
between
know. I was like,
4:30?
why?
What are you doing? What are you doing at 4:30 in the morning? I fully get it now.
Yeah.
So small tangent, but I think that's important as far as time management goes, friends. If you are on a weight loss journey or on a fitness journey and you are juggling a lot, like maybe you're a mother, maybe you have a 9 to 5, maybe you're also trying to enter into the content creation sphere, you just have a lot of hats, which I've noticed that tends to be trending in America because of our
Yeah.
economy. We just
Yeah.
have a lot of hats. And
Hmm.
it's like, I don't have time to work out. Baby, you gotta make it. You gotta
Yeah.
make the time to
You
do
gotta
it.
make
Like
it.
that's
That's
what it's
everyone's
at.
famous last words though, is life is crazy. I'm just not sure I got the time. It's like, no, you got it. It's just like,
Yeah,
do you
you gotta find
do you
it.
want it? Yeah. How
Hmm.
bad do you want it?
How bad do
But
you want it? Get your
um
ass up.
yeah, and that's not always easy. That's just not
Mm-mm.
always easy. And that's when
It's not.
self-sabotage rears its ugly head. It comes up with so many
Hmm.
different reasons why you can't.
100%, 100%. But okay, so going back to the 6,000 calorie things, we barely touched on it. So here's my thoughts. I feel like they were saying that they had to burn 6,000 calories a day because it's roughly around 3,500 calories is 1 pound. So the trainers wanted them on track to lose 2 pounds a day. And if they were getting weighed in once a week, they would have double digits. I think that was the math behind that.
Yeah, they just wanted to have impressive numbers. Like, oh my God, they lost 14
Yeah.
pounds. That's crazy.
And
And
I remember being young and like how like so like bewildered. It's okay. Blah. There's so much because this was very much a part of my young adulthood, this show.
mm,
And it set a precedent that did not make sense because you would watch these people lose 13, 14, and 15 pounds in a week, and
mhm.
your mind would be warped, and you would be like, why aren't I losing weight like that?
Yeah, yeah. And no one's talking about how they're doing it in such an unhealthy manner. Like, you're literally
It
creating,
fucks you up.
like, okay, so remember how I've spoken about in other episodes, like with some of my clients, I'll say, okay, if you love cardio that much and you want to do it for 2 hours or an hour and a half every day, when we go into a cut, no, we're gonna have to increase cardio because that is your baseline. So they've essentially set these people up to lose this amount of weight and do it by burning 6,000 calories a day on no food, no energy.
None.
They're nutrient deprived is an
I can't
understatement.
imagine how tired they must have been in that experience.
I can't either.
I can't
And then to
imagine.
just crush their metabolism. So if they go back to a regular way of life, all of a sudden they're like, if I'm not exercising all day long, I'm going to gain weight because they've completely turned their metabolism upside down. And then what pissed me
Yeah.
off even more is like their freaking motto, trust the process, change forever. That made me sick
I'm
to
sorry.
my stomach because it was like, guess what? We're lying to you and you're not going
Yeah.
to change forever. So now you're going to have trust issues. But guess what? Your bounce back, we're not going to set you up for success there. We're not going to put you on
Mhm.
like a plan afterwards. Like, be
I know.
prepared
Was
to
it
go
Danny?
backwards.
I think it was Danny Cahill that reached out to production and was like, "We need help." Can like, first of all, you would assume that they would be set up with gym memberships. Friends, these fucking networks make billions and billions and billions of dollars off the backs of reality TV folks, and the money is not that motherfucking good. This is why bitch got 4, 5, 6 motherfucking jobs, okay? And I'm still not on a yacht. All right. The money is
One
not as
day.
good as you think it. Right. One day. I'm manifesting it. It's not as good as you would think it is. And I can only imagine how much worse it was in the early 2000s
Yeah.
when I can't imagine. They
It
probably
was
got paid
probably like
jack
a barter
shit.
plan. Like, you want to come on here? We'll change your life. Come on.
100%.
Trust the process. You'll change forever.
And they're not even setting these people up with gym memberships when they get done.
Yeah,
That's
like
the least they could do.
did they even give the winner a gym membership? Like they should have given
No.
everyone an aftercare
Everybody.
plan. They should have made
Everybody.
sure they understood what was going on with their body during this time. But if they did that, they
Girl,
would have shot themselves in the foot because it's a fucked up plan.
Girl, I don't even think they were giving them body work. Like I didn't see any marks from cupping on any of them at that
I
time.
don't think cupping was
There's no,
around
yeah,
even
or
then.
if it was
But
around, it wasn't
massage
even like a
therapy,
massage for
anything.
the way they were working out like that. Are you guys even foam rolling? I never seen any of them with a foam roller in their face.
Think about the sheer shin splints
That's what
potential.
I'm saying. Like their bodies, and because just like Dr. H said, every year the contestants was getting more and more intense, which sounds about right.
No.
The network realizes they have a hit. 211 pounds is not that big. We want 311 pounds. We want 500 pounders. We want big back bitches.
And then there was a who was it? There was a person, I think she had blonde hair, I can't remember her name. She was saying that she actually called and figured out she was going to be on the show and they were encouraging her to eat even more, to get bigger,
Yeah,
gain
to
more
get
weight
bigger.
before the show. And I was
Crazy,
like,
right?
what?
What the fuck? What the
I
fuck?
twitch.
And right, I twitch. And just like Dr. H was saying, the bigger that they were getting, their ability to exercise was getting lower, which makes sense. The
Yeah.
bigger you are, the harder it is for you to move. And then you have these people doing these competitions, like
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
in the air.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's beyond messed up. I
It's beyond.
It made me just want to like I wish you could just interact with those people and be like, "Hey, you're seen. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
also proud of you for realizing that you can do hard things next to
Yeah.
impossible things." Like
Yeah.
I just hope like someone gives them the opportunity to do it the right way and they just like heal the things that need to be healed from that
Oh, yeah, yeah,
experience.
yeah. So I also really quick, I wanted to talk about the study. So you mentioned the metabolism a bunch, and I thought the study was really fascinating. So obviously it was a very, very, very small sample size, disclaimer, friends, very small sample size, they need to do it again. But the study was essentially saying that folks on The Biggest Loser, like the experience on The Biggest Loser, fucked up their metabolism aggressively
Yeah.
because of the way they were working out, how little they were eating, and that's what essentially caused all of the weight gain for the majority of the clients that was on. What are your thoughts on that study and metabolism in general? And maybe too, Kelly, if you want just to give the people a bit of a background, I talk about metabolism all the time in my circle community. I don't think people are educated enough on like when we talk about metabolism and baseline, how important that is when it comes to weight loss.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why how you can manipulate your macros and then from there actually get results and then go through the different
right,
cycles of it.
right.
But from there, it was like they were shooting. Okay, so when you're on 800 calories a day, like if you
Mm,
don't have the
that's
nutrition
insane.
that you need, and then also your basal metabolic rate is probably trash. So then they're
Mm-hmm,
conditioning it to be like 6,000 calories in sheer effort. So then from
mm-hmm.
that point, and correct me if I'm misunderstanding your question, but from that point, like they're only burning because of the effort that they're doing in their basal metabolic
Yeah,
rate, like what they do by doing nothing is
Right.
completely fucked from the amount of food that they're not eating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then that's
But
why they've essentially flipped it upside down because unless
because
they're,
what should be happening is they should be eating a lot.
yes, to generate
It's flipped
burn,
upside
and
down,
it's
right?
completely flipped upside down. So,
Hmm.
like you said with the baseline, unless when they go back into reality, real life, unless like there was one person who was saying, I was skating all day, I was doing this, I couldn't stop working
Yeah,
out, I had to work out because I would gain a pound. It's because that exact thing, their baseline was that. And
them
also,
was
they're
fucked up.
still in a state of like, don't eat food, avoid food.
Yes, but they're also not working out 6, 7, 8 hours a day. Maybe they're only working out 2 hours a day. But when you're working out 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day and you go down just to 2 hours a day, you're still going to see a net negatively, meaning that the scale's still going to go up because they're not
Your
matching. The
body's
wires are
viewing it as
crossed.
less. Your body's seeing that you're not
Exactly.
putting as much effort out. So, and also, like I said,
Hmm.
your basal metabolic rate is screwed because you have no food.
Which is incredibly important. So we up our basal metabolic rate by putting on muscle.
Hmm.
And those people were 100% losing muscle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
100%.
They were just
100%.
mass in general. They were just in a
Yeah.
complete state of like your body just eating every bit of you to stay
Hmm.
alive.
I wonder if they even got blood work done before, in the
Probably
middle,
not.
after. Probably not.
I mean, maybe Dr. H did.
Dr. H did in the middle, in the beginning, right? Because remember, he was telling people they had diabetes and stuff like that. But
Mm.
like, what happened in the middle and the end,
They should be doing it throughout, especially with that level of extremity. Like,
That's crazy. And it's not even like these people were used to it. Like you and I work in the fitness industry. Like I always say when people ask like what I do, I've been doing this for a while. Like I've been teaching spin for 10 fucking years. Like I could do it with my eyes closed. Not everybody can do that. It's something that my body's conditioned to do. These people haven't even left their couches and you're putting them in a simulation working out 5, 6 hours a day. You know what really broke my heart is these poor people falling on the motherfucking treadmills. I'm surprised there weren't worse injuries with the way some of those people were biffing it on the treadmills.
yeah.
Like
Yeah, I'm
teeth being
surprised that we
knocked
didn't see
out.
like broken bones and stuff or stress
Yeah.
fractures.
Well, there
Um,
were a few stress fractures.
yeah, I was
Dr.
getting ready to
H
say, I
found
feel
a
like I saw
couple.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there were stress fractures. Yeah.
So
But
maybe like stress fractures that turned into even worse situations.
what do you think about the trainers? So Jillian Michaels is incredibly controversial. Bob Harper is like he's like the sweetheart of like fitness gurus and trainers, even now, especially after he had his heart attack. But
Hmm.
he, if we're pointing fingers, he was also controversial. They were both very controversial as people in the fitness industry who understand these terms that you and I are talking about very much so. They knew what they were doing,
Yeah,
essentially.
I think I have so many mixed feelings on this is that
Yeah.
I feel like if it were me in that position, I would not
Mm.
feel comfortable doing those things
Comfortable.
even for the sake of TV. I'd be like I got to bow out. You know what I mean? But like
They had to have been paying them a shitload of money because
yeah,
I agree with you. Like, how
morally I
much
could
money?
not lay my head down at night knowing that I was promising change forever to someone. Like I'd be like, "Listen,
Right.
we're going to have to make sure like link up with me afterwards. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna have to get this back to a place that's like sustainable because right now what we're doing is to
Not
win a competition."
sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean I think too back then research hadn't gone as far perhaps.
That's
Obviously
true.
there was no mention of macros that we saw
That's
on camera.
true.
Like in was this the time where that's what it was? Where it's like all the people that are jazzercising and working out and just like that's just what you do. Like you be harder, you be stronger, you have
Yeah.
no emotion, you just black it out. Like is that how they were trained and that's what they know? Like I always I that's why I said there's such an evolution. When I spoke to this at one point earlier, it might have been on my stories, but I was like, it goes to show you the evolution in just time, how things have changed and how people actually care about your mental health now and how you got to this place and how to
Girl, if
repair it.
Jillian was yelling at a client like that today in 2025,
No,
whoo,
never. Never.
whoo.
And I feel like it sucks because there was a time where I looked at Jillian Michaels and I was like, bod goals, like
Yeah, for
girls getting
same.
it, you know?
I
So
remember loving the way she trained back then. Like when I would watch her, I remember loving that intensity. Like,
yeah.
yeah, Jillian, tell him to get up, tell him to go. Watching it as an adult, as a 35-year-old adult, through different goggles, who like works in this field now, it is aggressively inappropriate.
I think she feels they I don't know.
I
She
don't know
wasn't on the
either.
documentary. Maybe she
She
felt
wasn't.
ashamed by how it went down and she would just
Yeah,
rather not. But I also think that's kind of cowardly as well. Like show your face, talk about it, admit if you do feel like you did wrong and move on. But then again, she also is giving out caffeine pills, which I know there's
right.
worse things people can do.
Which I think that probably definitely happened. They just like spared us.
Yeah, it just once again
Mhm.
seems like it's at whatever cost to win and at whoever's expense. And that like deeply
It's
bothered me.
disturbing.
Yeah,
It's
because the whole point
disturbing.
is to change these people's lives and give them a second chance and like to breathe fresher air and feel good about it, not to like do that.
Money is a master teacher. That's what I always say. And money is neutral. But if you think about it, like these people are doing this for money. And I think this feeds into, this saying that money is the root of all evil, which I disagree with. I don't believe money is the root of all evil because money is neutral.
Hmm.
It's people that hold money. Money is not inherently good or bad. Money is money. A dollar is a dollar is a dollar. It's not good or bad. But the people or the person that has that dollar and what they do with that dollar, that's what we're talking about. And
Yeah,
I
and the
just
supply
like,
and demand now.
yeah, I feel like Jillian and Bob owed the fitness community a little more. But at the same time, who are we to judge?
And I
Like,
feel like
like
though Bob, like even though he was like I could see like how he was talking and stuff, I was like, oh, he's very lighthearted, still to this day about it. But at the same time, like he did mention like that there the
some
amount of
moments.
pressure. Yeah, and there was
Yeah.
moments that he would change, which I thought was nice to hear, but the amount of
Hmm.
pressure that he got from production. So it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of like this weird stage of like, okay, you did it because that's what production was breathing down your neck. But at the same time, like it's that old adage of like if your friend was jumping off the bridge, would you?
Would you?
Yeah,
Well, it
like
makes
who
me
you don't need
think,
to do anything someone tells you to.
yeah. This is the era. Biggest Loser was at its height when like Bad Girls Club was on. Remember Bad Girls Club?
Mm,
And those girls are beating each other up on that show.
mm-hmm.
Maury was really big. You're not my
Yeah,
baby daddy.
aggression was everything.
Aggression was everything and super intense. And, reality TV still definitely has its problems, but I do think there's more systems of checks and balances. But honestly, even now, like you said, they didn't give them a therapist. They only gave us a therapist on the tell-all. That's the only time you get a therapist in the 90 Day Fiancé network. And you've seen those arguments on that show.
Yeah, yeah, I watch that show a lot. I
I
love the
mean,
show.
there's a lot of traumatic shit happening on that show all the time.
Wildly traumatic to where I'm like,
Wildly
I
traumatic.
hope that they like when it's quiet in the room after this that they're okay, like
Wildly traumatic. And the only time we are offered any sort of therapy on their behalf is at the tell-all. There's a therapist on site.
just for while you're there.
Mhm. And if we need to see the therapist afterwards, we have to say that we need to see the therapist afterwards. And if we don't want to see the therapist, we have to say it like on camera that we denied seeing the therapist.
That feels very much so like they're like, okay, we're walking the line of being technically correct. We've done it. No shade. 90. That's just like my thoughts.
I mean, and my whole thing to say this is if that is happening with that network, that's happening with all networks.
I just yeah, my mom's in the movie
You
biz
know?
and it's always very
Yeah.
cutthroat even in her working conditions. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's a scenic artist, so they work those people from the crack of dawn till night and it is hard labor and it is
That's
go
what people
go
don't
go go go.
understand. That it's like it is insane how much filming in general is so much energy. And that's
Mhm.
the thing, these people are doing all that and still filming.
Mhm. It's
They're doing
wild.
all of that and still filming. God bless them. God bless them.
Mhm.
We only got a slither on this three-part documentary. There's so much more that did not make cut for whatever reason. I'm sure Netflix had to have a lot of people sign off on a lot of stuff to even get some of that footage.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what was it on? Was it on Fox, CBS, NBC, NBC?
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows?
Who knows? But all in all, I
Yes,
just felt so many different tug of wars with my heart after watching that. Like I wanted to give everyone a hug. And I was
everybody,
like, "Are
right?
you okay?"
Yeah.
Um,
So what are your final thoughts on The Biggest Loser, and how do you think that show has shaped how we view fitness today? Big question, I know.
that is a big question. My final
Yeah.
thoughts are how I hope that people who watch that, please, if you're listening to this or you haven't listened to it, I'm just putting this out there as good juju. Like, do not think that is how you have to do it to lose weight. There are so many healthier options that are sustainable and long term. Once again, as you and I say until we're blue in the face, like, hire a coach if you're unsure. Make sure you vet the coach, make sure they know what they're talking about. And then what was the last piece? You said the controversial bit that was going to be the second half of that question.
Oh, how do you think The Biggest Loser has shaped the fitness
Oh,
industry today?
I think it's really kind of it's weird because I feel like it probably motivated a ton of people to do this, but then it
Mm-hmm.
also deflated them with a certain amount of time after because they
Mm-hmm.
realize like they're trying to replicate something that is not going to work and is not going to be sustainable.
Yes,
And I think
that was
it,
me.
yeah.
That was me as that little chunky girl, baby Ash, watching this stuff on TV, trying to replicate exactly that, realizing it wasn't sustainable. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And so, like, I actually think it did a lot worse for just health and fitness in the whole
Yeah.
industry in general because it wasn't the proper way. And I know it wasn't yesterday that the show was filmed and things have changed, but um, I think it's really unfortunate. And I feel like today, and I was saying this, I think to you or maybe my sister, if I had the opportunity, or you had the opportunity, or any of the people that we know today who are coaches had the opportunity to be coaches in that space, it would be so much better to like give people the tools to do this successfully and like heal the right way. I know I've just spoken a lot about my final thoughts, but it's really hard to feel
No,
like
I
I've
think it's
wrapped that
important to
up in a
hear.
bow.
It's loaded. I feel like, as far as my final thoughts go, I think The Biggest Loser perpetuated a lot of eating disorders.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. I think it
Simplified.
created, yeah, it created a lot of eating disorders. It created a skewed view on weight loss. It makes me think of like one of my clients. One of my clients was talking about how she's been with me for 3 months and she's lost 15 pounds in the 3 months. And she was like, it may not seem like a lot. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's 5 pounds a month. That's a lot. Just so we're clear, friends, sustainable weight loss is like 0.5 to maybe 1 pound a week. That is
Yeah.
sustainable weight loss. And that is if you're on the heavier side. If you're on the lighter side and you've got 5 or 10 pounds to lose, it's even less than that. That is good, solid, slow, sustainable weight loss.
And if it's going over 2 pounds, you need to pause and be like, what? Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on. How do we
Exactly.
slow this down a little bit?
And I think shows like Big Brother fucked us up that way because I definitely was wondering, as the younger version of me, how were they losing 10 pounds in a week and I'm not, and trying to create all these different workout plans to get there. And
Yeah.
it wasn't the case. So slow and steady wins the race. Take your time, and muscle is your friend.
Yeah.
Like
Focus
muscle
on
is
getting
your
strong.
friend. Yeah. Honestly, if you focus on getting strong and hitting your protein, you will just naturally lose weight
Mm-hmm.
without even trying.
Be inquisitive about be inquisitive about nutrition, learn as much as you can there, get as much
Mm-hmm.
guidance as you can there, and just try to get freaking strong. If you're in the gym trying to get skinny, it's not gonna be the same. It's
No,
not
it
gonna be the same.
definitely isn't. It isn't. So I hope you guys got something out of this. Let us know down in the comments if you were a Biggest Loser watcher or if you watched the documentary and what your thoughts are. Super curious. Let's like open up this dialogue, this conversation. I'm curious to pick your guys' brains. And as always, make sure you like and share the episode and subscribe.
Yes, please.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.